Hey everyone, Nick Sakalis here. Thanks for tuning in. It's really difficult to believe that it's already been 3 years since we started the Real Estate Plate radio show, and we just discovered that we had an archive of the first ever show. So I'm really happy that I was able to uh, get all the audio for that and put it together in video form to be able to share with everybody. We did a lot of growing since that first episode. You could definitely tell that there's a lot of jitters and there's a lot of nervousness coming from me. Quality has changed a lot since then. Not much. I think we're still low tech, but we're getting there. We're trying to get as good as we can. But at the same time, I am really thrilled that I'm able to share this with you. And I want to thank everybody for being there from the very beginning and continuing to go through the growing pains with me as the show progressed. And I'm looking forward to doing many more shows in the future. If you're watching this video and you wanted to see a live caption of what my reaction was after this show finished, go all the way to the end of the video and you'll see a little clip that I found that I had put on Instagram on my reaction to the show. So if you like what you see, definitely click like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. And at the same time, if you got any comments, good or bad, please put them down there. I want to hear them all. Thank you again, and thank you for supporting the show. Thanks. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining me on the Real Estate Plate radio show. This is your host, Nick Sakalis, and I'm here to hopefully educate you in an entertaining way and let you know everything that I know about real estate. You know, the whole concept of the show is basically to allow everybody the opportunity to have a platform where they could discuss not only their own real estate mindsets, and also give everybody the opportunity to ask questions. That being said, I am not a real estate attorney. Therefore, I am not giving out legal advice. I'm purely giving out my own personal opinions, and I do have plenty of those. I am a real estate professional that's been working in all different facets of the business. I've played the role of a real estate agent, both in selling and buying properties for all my clients. I've also played the role of a landlord, tenant, and property manager. So there is a little bit of knowledge that I have to share, and I'm hoping that I allow everybody the opportunity to get all their questions out there. I have plenty of questions that have asked me all the time, and that's the reason why I'm putting this show together. That being said, we do have a phone number that everybody could call us on. It's 631-888-8811. And I know we probably have about 4, maybe 5 listeners at this time, and I'm hoping to increase those listeners every week, one person at a time. Again, the number is 631-888-8811. Now, that being said, I'd like to dive into a little bit about what's going on with the market today. One of the hottest questions that I have, and the hot topics, is where is this market going? Is it a hot market? Is it a cold market? Is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? It's all of the above. You know, a lot of times I sit and look at it town by town, and where one town is on fire and you have a enormous demand, you have another town that's right by there that has severely cooled off or has flatlined. And we are in an overall seller's market, and the most important thing to know in the seller's market is when you're buying a property, you have to be very mindful of what the values are, whether the house will actually appraise, and whether you will have a little bit of help from a team of people that will help you. And that team of people will be not only your real estate agent, it will be your mortgage broker, it will be the attorney that you're using, and I'll be here to help guide you as far as any questions you have. And perhaps if you have a unique situation, I'd love to hear it and try to help you out with that. Okay? And let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have no personal experience as far as being a radio host or any broadcasting type of experience. So you're all going to have to bear with me for at least in the beginning until I start getting the ropes of how to do this. And I'm very good at FaceTime, and what I call FaceTime is when I'm talking to people on a one-on-one basis, and I'm sitting down and relating my message to them. And it's a little bit different actually talking in front of a camera or a microphone with nobody in front of me. I'm going to be changing that in the future. We're going to be having guests over, people that are real estate related. I'd like to keep this as centric to New York as possible. However, I will be talking about different national going-ons in the real estate market. And one of the things that are really big right now that everybody's talking about is the actual projected tax reform. And one of the things that people really need to understand is this could severely cause an issue for a lot of people's personal finances. And I would not sit back and not hear have my voice heard. Everybody should be making themselves heard to their politicians, local politicians, and this is not only New York thing, it is a nationwide thing. What's being proposed could possibly be one of the most destructive things as far as real estate is concerned in the middle class, because what we need to understand is if they decide to take away some of the mortgage forgiveness that we have, and also reduce or completely wipe out the real estate taxes, exemptions that we have. You know, your person that is theoretically basically just breaking even or working week to week might be in for a difficult journey in the future. You know, many of those people that are taking these tax exemptions and actually working with their real estate mortgages that are deductible right now could be very, very hurt. And that being said, I didn't want to be a preacher, and I don't want to actually constantly harp on this, but it's extremely important that everybody does actually take a part and actually take heed to what's going on right now. And that could actually turn into a real estate horror story. And one of the horror stories that I've been listening to, what I've been doing gearing up to this show was trying to get feedback from people as far as real estate nightmares. You know, considering Halloween's tomorrow, I figured it'd be a perfect place to actually talk about problems that people have had and different type of disasters that you could come across in real estate. I almost had a disaster coming here, actually. I had a appointment that was set, and person came in about an hour and a half late. which got me into kind of a frenzy of running late myself, and I barely got here in time, and that would have been quite a disaster of me actually coming late to my own debut show. So, there's been other realistic stories that I think are of note, and there were some really disturbing things that people sent me over from Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and a lot of them I think are very personal to a lot of the people that send them over, and I will not really get into a lot of that information because I think it's way too personal, and it could actually be hurtful to some people. I mean, I've gotten stories of situation where people found bodies in the houses as they were walking through, and they were severely traumatized. And I also have heard various stories of realtors that actually were put in a very dangerous position when doing showings. And safety is definitely something that everybody needs to keep in mind and truly be wary of in today's environment. There's often been stories being told of a realtor brought into a different environment where they're doing a showing at a very awkward time or a very remote location, and we don't want to have situations where these realtors are put in where they could be either hurt or in any way taken advantage of. And as I said, I'm not going to say any specific names of people that have told me about their situations. I'd rather they would say it themselves, but because of the nature of that type of situation, a lot of them want to stay undisclosed. So my heart does go out to them, and I do truly say that everybody needs to be prepared and take care of themselves. And that being said, I'll take a little bit of a lighter note and start to actually talk about different scenarios that people have really surprised me with what they were saying. I had a story of actual person that was doing showing, and unbeknownst to them, the actual owner had a 6-foot boa constrictor in the house, and she was not told, and she was not prepared about what was going on. And as she's walking through, she had a foul odor that was pretty dominant throughout the whole house, and she had quite a scare as she was going through it. Could you imagine actually going to a house where you're expecting to be showing a normal, conventional type of situation, and then only to have a boa constrictor come hanging through I don't know where it was. It came through the door, where they show it exactly, but she was pretty rattled as far as that was concerned. And I could tell you something, that's not something that anybody wants to see. There's been a lot of situations where animals have definitely been a part of real estate. Raccoon carcasses that have been found in the attics, basements, possums or hovering all over the floors in the basements where the house somehow got trapped. And there's definitely a little bit of eeriness when you come in and you see some kind of animal, especially when you're not expecting it. You have your conventional stuff of the houses that are owned by hoarders. And I've had a couple of those myself where I actually went into a house that was covered from top to bottom in not only garbage, it was just, there's one thing to be said for clutter and another thing to be said for actual garbage and junk to be throughout the house. I would, see pizza boxes with pieces of pizza half eaten that are scattered all over the place, mold all over the houses. And then, sprinkled throughout that whole house of debris, you'd see little animals coming out. And I had one situation where I actually went into a house where I'm speaking to the homeowner, and obviously the homeowner had a problem. You can't have a house like that where you're covered from top to bottom in garbage and not have some kind of psychological defect. And that being said, as I'm walking through with the homeowner and his daughter, I see something scurrying through the garbage that's piled from the floors. What I thought I was seeing was a rat. Coming from Queens, I'm not accustomed to seeing anything, any other type of animal like raccoons and possums other than rats. So I get a little bit taken back, and I try to take a step forward to maybe kick it away or whatever the case is, and the homeowner panics and says, "Don't kick it. It's my cat." And as she's saying that's my cat, I see another 2-3 heads pop out, and she literally had 17 cats in that house, all within that garbage. It was a really, really funny story. I mean, it wasn't funny to me at the time, but now that I'm thinking about it, it was funny. And the owner, she did to get help. We had somebody come in and help her get rid of a lot of the stuff. It was almost as if it was an intervention kind of a situation. And, there's, all kinds of places that people like that could go to. But unfortunately, that's not a instance that's unique. It happens a lot. Another one situation that actually was really unique was a realtor actually told me that they were hosting an open house, and as they were having all the consumers come in and visit the house, there was one woman that came in with her son. Her son was about 5 years old, and asked if they could use the restroom. Of course, the realtor said, "Not a problem. Please use the restroom." The person was gone for maybe about 15-20 minutes, and as the actual person was starting to wonder what happened, the woman came out in a panic and actually told the realtor to come in and help her out because she had quite a situation. What that situation was, that her little 5-year-old actually had to go to the bathroom and, to say it nicely, went number two, and went number two in a very big way. And that caused the toilet to clog. The water was coming up from the toilet. There were other people walking around the whole house, so this realtor was actually panicking and scrambling to actually try to get the situation cleared out, and didn't have a plunger. So could you imagine that? If you're actually a person that's looking to sell a house and you have an overflowing toilet, as you have a consumer open house full of people, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking thing, and I would definitely rank that up as a horror story. And that's something that I think I find I think that was one of the funniest stories I heard all week as far as that's concerned. I am really, really entertained by a lot of the stuff that came into me. Some pictures actually came in, and I will actually be posting some of that on my Facebook page, and I will also start to put out tweets with different things that people have sent me. I'll retweet some of the comments that people put in, and I am very, very happy with the overall response that I got from people coming into this. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, actually, making this decision to actually do this show. And it's not something I'm really accustomed to, but I felt that I had something to say, and I'm hoping that the listeners out there find what I have to say valuable. You know, the audience that I really want to project to is not just a consumer. It's not just the person trying to sell their home. It's for the real estate community in general. You know, I'm talking straight to sellers, buyers, landlords, tenants, property managers, other realtors, everybody that's in the real estate profession. I think it's great to have a platform where we could all speak. That's very different from what the national model has been. There's some really great shows out there, and there's many people that do talk shows on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and they do a great job to it. But nobody's been really geared towards doing something that's been more central to us. If not the East Coast, it's definitely nothing that has been central to New York. And New York is a different animal when it comes to real estate. A lot of people, they basically don't understand how real estate works here. And when you're listening to some of the platforms on other radio shows and podcasts, it is geared to more of a national level, or somewhere in the Midwest or West Coast or Arizona. Arizona, for some reason, is a hot spot for a lot of podcasts and real estate shows. But they don't really understand what it takes to be a property owner, a purchaser, manager, investor here in New York. And I really want to try to make this as desirable and as appeasing to the audience as possible in regards to that. I don't want this to end up turning into an infomercial. I don't want to be endlessly talking about what a great job I do or what my company does. I am with Coldwell Banker, by the way, and if I don't give them a plug, they'll probably give me grief tomorrow or later after I get off the show. So there you go. I'm with Coldwell Banker. I'm with the largest global real estate company out there, and they're a terrific company, and they give me a lot of support, and I'm better for being with them, and I think they're better for being with me. So that being said, there you go. That's my one plug about the company that I work with. And that's the end of where that's going to go. Now, as far as the platform I want to take on this show from this point forward, I think it's going to be pivotal that I give everybody reports on what the market is doing, not only on a weekly basis, but give everybody a month-over-month type of understanding and a year-over-year understanding of where we are in the market, where we're in the market, and where we're projected to go in the market. And beginning next week, I will start that. Since it's the beginning of the month, I think it's the best way to go by that. So I don't want to start that today, and I will make that part of the show in the future. And another thing that I'd like to implement as well is actually giving tips of the week to different sectors of the market. The seller tip of the week this week, since I was talking about a hoarder story, is when you're preparing a house to sell, declutter. I can't emphasize that more than anything else. Get rid of a lot of stuff. Get little of the garbage. It doesn't have to be garbage. It could be enormous furniture. It could be things that are overwhelming. It could be things that are distracting to your average buyer. Minimal. As minimal as possible. That's the most important thing to have. And I know that's one of the oldest saying that they have in real estate, and it's one of the things that is cliche almost, but it really is one of the basics, and that's why I want to start with that tip, letting everybody know. One of the most important things to do when you're preparing to get a house sold, declutter. Get rid of that garbage. Now, the buyer tip of the week is show composure when you're walking through a house. If you absolutely love a house and the seller's there or the listing agent's there or even if nobody's there, walk through the house. Walk with your realtor. Talk about the house. If there's something in particular that you want to point out or you want to ask about, that's not a problem. But don't make the mistake of actually saying, I love this house. There's no other house. I have to buy it. Because once you do that, you wrote your death sentence as far as the price is concerned. You know that you're not going to have much leverage as far as trying to get yourself a better deal because they already know you love the house. And once you show your hand, it makes it very, very tough for not only you, the person representing you, to get you the best possible deal on the place. And I'm going to actually give a tip to brokers and agents. One of the things that I think is really important, and this applies not only to brand new agents and brokers that are in the business, I think it absolutely applies to everybody. When you are going out showing houses or you're actually listing a property, you need to know your inventory. A lot of times people turn around and list a house without really evaluating what they're listing the house at and going on an assumption or going off of what the seller's telling them that the house is worth. Well, as a professional, it's your job to know what the house is worth based on everything else that sells in the area. And not only everything that sells in the area, everything that's currently on the market and everything that's currently under contract. So it's not only important to actually go out and get those comps on the base sales, available inventory, and under contracts, but to actually walk into your competing properties. I can't emphasize how important that is. How could you know how to sell your property when you don't even know what the properties are that you're competing against are? And that's something extremely necessary and extremely important. I don't want to tell people how to do their business, but I think that's an elementary thing to do, and it's almost real estate 101. So I hope that people actually take heed of that and actually start doing that. Some of the better brokers and agents do that routinely. And if they don't do that, they send one of their people that are on their team to do that for them. So that being said, I think we're done with those tips of the day. And, well, actually, it's going to be tips of the week because we're only going to be here one time a week, Mondays at 6 to 7 p.m. And depending on how well this show goes, we'll see if we have another show next week if they don't yank me off the air. You know, I finished off that end, I am actually going to start talking a little bit about what's going on with the way properties are being portrayed online and the tools that people are using right now and how they're helping them and actually hurting them simultaneously. You know, this market's constantly changing, and one of the things that is very evident and actually is it's a fact of what's going on with the real estate market today is the fact that we have technology that is becoming much more user-friendly. It's becoming more consumer-friendly, and it's also making it very transparent. And transparency is a great thing, as long as the information that you're gathering from that transparency is accurate. You know, you have a lot of platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all the social media type of platforms where people are using to promote their products and their properties, and that's actually been very resourceful. Now, one of the things that everybody needs to keep in mind when they're actually looking at these different type of promotions and advertisements, it is, it's not necessarily always 100% accurate. Many times it's brokers being a little bit more, I don't know what's the word, embellishing on what they're promoting. And not necessarily all the facts have to be added into those promotions. So when you're actually looking at that as a consumer, you should actually look at the public records or have somebody that's working for you get you the actual facts. And it goes without saying, it's more of a common knowledge that, the Facebook, the Instagrams, the Twitters, those are just basic things that people don't necessarily use as the end-all be-all as far as their information. But one of the things that people do use as their absolute resource in real estate is Zillow. And Zillow, I have to be honest with you, Zillow is actually a really great platform, in my personal opinion, that has really gone the wrong way. It's extremely user-friendly. It is a phenomenal site, not only to be able to use, but visually as well. It's far and beyond many of the other sites that are out there. Problem is, in many cases, actually in most cases, it's very inaccurate. And if you actually sit down and look at a different type of scenario in Zillow, I'll go through a lot of this stuff in the future, and I'll actually let everybody know about different instances of how things work and don't work with not only Zillow but other platforms as well. But one of the ongoing things that could actually be not working that well is the fact that you have that whole Zestimate model. And the Zestimate model is a little bit, actually, it's extremely deceptive. And the problem is that a lot of people believe a Zestimate is an actual estimate. And when Zillow uses their Zestimate model, it doesn't take into consideration actual facts in most cases. Now, why do I say that? I take an average property that's in a general area of homes that are selling for, let's say, $500,000, and you're looking at all these homes selling for $500,000. All of a sudden, your home, for some reason that you looked up on Zillow, has its estimate for $560,000. Why is that? Well, Zillow doesn't actually tell you why that's the case, but perhaps there was a house that was a new construction house that sold right by you with the same kind of square footage that was sold for $750. Still the same square footage, same kind of lot, but it's a brand new construction house. Now that just skewed the numbers in a way where, as a person that's not from the area and as a person that does not really fully understand of what's going on around them, can't really understand it. Sometimes as a home seller, even though you do know the neighborhood, you don't look at all the true facts. You just look at the Zestimate, and you say, well, if they said the Zestimate's worth this much, then it has to be worth this much. And that's where you get a lot of those for sale by owners that are happening, that a lot of people actually put their house on the market based on the Zillow's estimate, and they're sitting there and wondering why they haven't sold their house. And it hurts them. You know, you have the opposite effect as well, where sometimes Zillow, actually many times Zillow, underprices their houses. Why is that? Because Zillow doesn't take into consideration when you have a house that's sitting on the railroad tracks that has been devalued, and the value is not exactly the same on what the average market is in the area. And, you know, you'll take the same example as a $500,000 house average in the area, and then all of a sudden you had a house that sold for $350 because it was sitting on a railroad. It was in neglect. It needed actual work, and all of a sudden that skewed the numbers, and it gave you his estimate of, let's say, 450. And it doesn't take only one house to actually make that difference. It takes a few houses, but you know, you have short sales, you have foreclosures in certain areas, you have all kinds of things that make a huge difference, and that's something that I think everybody needs to keep in mind. You know, so the same way you could overestimate your house just by using those estimates, you might actually be hurting yourself by underestimating your house and actually getting less for what it's worth. You know, there's so many people out there that are using these platforms. You know, it's not just Zillow. It's Trulia, which actually got bought out by Zillow. Street Easy, that got bought out by Zillow. And a few other places that actually don't really give you all the information you need. And I really, no matter what you do, as far as any kind of business, whether you're selling or buying, regardless of the information you gather online, and regardless of the way you want to go about it, you know, in certain cases, when people sell their houses on their own, it makes absolute sense for them to sell it on their own. They know what they're doing. They're willing to put the time in, and they're actually well educated in the matter. But when you're actually going to do that, base yourself on actual professional opinions, gather some opinions, and see where you are. Don't base it off of just what the stats and the numbers that you see online on all these sites are. They're really and many times skewed, and I truly believe that that's the one part of the technology that's not caught up with everything else. Everything that we're doing today and the way the model has changed has really been it's been a good thing. You know, I've always embraced technology, but when it comes to certain aspects like that, it really gives me a little bit of an issue as far as trying to understand it and give it a chance when it's not moving towards the right direction. You know, but that being said, it definitely looks like this market is going to be lasting for at least a little bit longer. It is a seller's market, and there's no doubts about it. Even though some areas have cooled off, and there really has been many areas that, although they have the attention and they do still have the hype, they have cooled off a little bit. But there's other ones that have really been going all out. I know every week I'm going to focus on at least one or two towns where I'm kind of putting it out there for everybody to know where we are on the market and what the people's mentality that are coming out and purchasing out there are. And I'll start off this week by focusing on Jericho, New York, in Nassau County. And one of the things about Jericho that are a real attraction that people are basically coming in for in droves about is definitely the school district. You know, Jericho is definitely the top-rated school district in all of Long Island, and that's always been a major attraction. And the real estate sales and comps do definitely show that. The average inventory is much lower than all the neighboring towns, and the new construction has really not caught up with the demand. Part of the reason is that a lot of the older homes that would usually be considered as knockdown homes or houses that are prime for rehab have really escalated in price, and they have become very difficult to purchase for many of the investors and builders that would normally pick them up and either rehab them, reconstruct them, or actually knock down and put up new construction homes. So the demand for actually new construction homes are actually extremely high in the area, and the housing that's available by the builders and investors is just not enough to actually keep up with the demand. So that's one of those areas that is hot. It continues to be hot, and it will keep going this way at least for the near term, because I don't see inventory piling up. We're already in October. At the end of October, we're about to go into November, and this is usually the time where inventory usually starts to catch up. A lot of the stuff that's hasn't sold starts to compile, and all the new properties that go up in the market start to add on, and you start to build up the inventories. The inventories haven't really changed from the summer till now. And for certain cases, especially with the new construction, they haven't lessened. So that's a market that I see holding up strong for quite some time. Then again, I could be wrong. I'm not a fortune teller, and I don't have a crystal ball. But if I had to take an educated guess and actually look at it from from somebody that's been doing this for a while, I see that trend keep going on. Now I'll mention another town that actually has cooled off a little bit, and it's surprising but not surprising at the same time. And then this is a town that I hold near and dear to my heart because that's where I grew up. It's in Astoria, New York, in Queens, and it's one of the highest rising markets in Queens. It's basically that whole sector of Queens that has been going gangbusters over the last few years, and that includes Astoria, Long Island City, Woodside, Sunnyside, Jackson Heights. Those areas have really taken off and have escalated to numbers far beyond anything anybody expected in this short of a time span. I mean, going back to 2008, and when things started to really get rocky with the whole mortgage meltdowns that we had and the economic crisis that we went through, not only the real estate, overall financials, nobody expected to have a recovery go that quickly, and Astoria was one of those places that really changed the normal what's expected in that area. I mean, geographically, it is a hub. It offers a lot. You could literally get into the city 15 minutes. You could get into Brooklyn 15, 20 minutes. You could be in the Bronx in 15, 20 minutes. You could be in Jersey in 20 minutes. You're back on the island in 10, 15 minutes. I mean, you're really in a really good position by being there. But the numbers have gone to a point where you're seeing a little bit of a bucking to the prices. I mean, that tends to happen. Every time somebody sees their neighbor's house that sells, they are looking at it and say, well, my house is better, so they tack onto the price of that. And then the next person sees their house sold for more, so they tack on more, and it's a trend. So it got to the point right now where houses are really priced and marketed at the top of where we've been in a very, very long time, And one of the things that is unique to Astoria, there's a lot of income properties in those areas, and a lot of the values are generated off of the actual income. And the rents have really plateaued. You don't see much of a jump the way that you used to have. Your average, just let's say 2 bedroom is going anywhere from 2,000 to 2,400 on your average, and anything that goes above that, your larger, more luxurious apartments have really slowed down. And there's stuff that's been on the market for a while that really is not moving, and it's causing a little bit of slowdown with the rest of the market. So I wouldn't say it cooled. It's cold, but it has cooled a little bit. So, that's the highlight of this week. Astoria flatlining, and I'm going to definitely monitor that. Like I said, it's near and dear to my heart. That's where I grew up, and I still have large ties and links to that area. So that's something that I will always keep up, and I will keep every monitor. And Jericho is still hot. I mean, it really is hot. And just going back to that, part of the thing that is extremely important about Jericho as well, besides having a phenomenal school district that is highly rated, it is also a hub. It is very accessible to all different areas. You have accessibility to the northern state, to the LIE, you have Jericho Turnpike, you have all these major throughways that are actually making it very convenient and very accessible to a lot of people. And it's also a very short commute to the city relatively to many of the other areas. And you do have many options as far as places that you would take the train from there. You don't only have the Syosset stations. You have Hicksville station at equal distance. So it's very definitely a place that is growing, and I think it's going to continue to grow. Now that being said, I think I do believe that we will not be having any callers call in today, and I will make sure that I will have a few lined up for us next week. I have a few people that I spoke to as far as professionals in our business, people that actually have something truly valuable to say, and something that I think everybody would want to hear about. I don't want to focus on only one sector. I'd like to get people that are in different aspects of the business as well, as far as maybe interior designers, architects, engineers. Right now our engineers and architects have been working in full gear. They're just as busy, if not busier, than real estate agents. There's so many projects underway. Every area is very unique to itself, and I'd love to hear somebody on the air with me talking about the difficulties and the challenges that they're seeing in their own different districts as far as getting plans approved and getting permits in place. I think it's something that everybody is going to want to hear about, and especially if you're looking to do renovations and new construction in your area. I think it's something I will be bringing into the picture. Now, as far as what is the new concepts of real estate, what people believe the trend will be in the overall basis, I did focus on two towns. But overall, I've been taking a little bit of a poll from people, and people have been really neutral about a lot of different things. They don't know where this market's going to go. You have your average person that for the past 3 years has been saying that they don't believe that this market's going to continue going the way it's going, and they've been waiting to purchase something, and every year that they wait, or every month that in a lot of cases that they wait, the prices have gone up. It's a little bit of dilemma. Do you wait or do you not wait? And what I'm going to say is the thing to do is when you're looking to actually purchase a place or sell a place, you have to do it because the situation is right, and not only because it's right, it's because you have other factors like necessity. If you have to do something, you have to do it. So you want to make sure that you're actually doing the best you can for that given situation. So there's opportunities in a seller's market. There's also opportunities in a buyer's market. The most important thing to do is actually buy right. And when I say buy right, I mean make sure that you're getting a place that actually makes sense for you, that you need, if it's your needs. And if it's in an investment platform, it's so much easier to actually be able to put the numbers out, because when it comes to investments, it's really all about the numbers. If the numbers don't work, then it's bad investment. And when I say numbers working, I mean after you purchase the place, if you're buying with a loan, will it cover? Will you have anything left over at the end of it? Will buying and being ready immediately from day one? These are the things that you need to incorporate into your offering process and actually understand investment that you're making is. It really needs to make sense numbers-wise. On the other hand, when you're purchasing a house for yourself, you never want to overpay. But the one thing I will say is, if the property fits most of your criteria and the location works and it fits most of your needs, then even if you believe that you're paying a little bit more than what in your opinion it's worth, it might actually be worth it. If you're not in love with the place, then by all means you don't go forward with it. But if it's most of that criteria you need to actually think it through. Of course, you want to be financially responsible about it, and not overpay to the extremes where you can't even appraise. But if it actually is to the point where it actually could appraise and they actually make sense, you have to go for it. Because if you keep looking at it in the point where you're hesitating and wanting to wait for a better opportunity, or thinking that the seller will drop the price, or it's not the right time to purchase that specific property yet, you'll always be wondering. And in many cases, you actually don't end up getting what you want. And I get a lot of those people. Like I said, you have people for the past 3 years that have been sitting and waiting for that opportunity, and those opportunities keep dwindling, and the properties that were perfect for them are no longer available, and they're constantly waiting for the next drop to happen. Can't say when it's going to happen, but this market is cyclical. You have its ups and downs. There might be a correction sooner or later, but if you buy it right, even when you do have a correction, you won't get affected as much as you would in other cases. And on that, from that point of view, if you're looking at it from the spectrum of being a seller in this market, one of the things that I think is very important to take into consideration is, this is a great market. Prices are up. Is it time to sell? Could definitely be a time to sell, especially if you have end game and you know where you're going after you end up selling. One of the problems that I have from a lot of people that are selling today is they're selling because they know this market's hot and they're going to be able to cash out, but they don't really have a plan of what to do after they purchase it. After they sell their place, what are they going to purchase? What are their capital gains? Will they be able to find another property that's appropriate to be able to replace the one that they just sold? In all cases, you're really selling it high, and you're also going to end up buying high. And there's not that many instances where you see somebody that's actually fortunate enough timing-wise to actually be able to pull it off and get the best of both worlds. I try my best to help my clients do that, but it doesn't always happen. It looks like we're coming to the end of the show today. I hope it was a little bit informative. I thank everybody for actually sitting through this hour with me and bearing through the jitters of a first show. I promise next week will be better, and the week after that I'll be even better than that. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you could always reach me on Facebook at The Real Nick Sakalis. And always send me out a tweet at Nikosak, Nikosak. Thank you. So I just wrapped up the first edition of the Real Estate Plate radio show. Probably one of the most nerve-wracking experiences I've ever had. And just like anything else that's difficult in life, I just did it and got through it. And hopefully I didn't embarrass myself and actually did a decent job. I think I learned a lot of things, and I'm also hoping that I'll do better next week, and I'll do even better the week after that. That being said, when I actually get the link to the podcast, I will post it, and hopefully everybody gives me their opinions of what they thought.